Hello! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, as many people probably will be, my name is Larissa and you're watching my channel currently. Some of you may recognize me from a different channel that I also own called Larissa Joelle. It's my old channel where I made a video about what it is like to have ADD. Presently, I know that it's technically ADHD Inattentive Type, but at the time, which was like 2 years ago, I didn't really know that, so that's why it's titled ADD. So if you clicked on this video, chances are you are curious as to what life is like taking medication for ADHD, and more specifically, Adderall. I have been taking prescribed Adderall for, it'll be 2 years in April, and it's currently January 3rd. So I have a lot of experience, I'd say, a lot of recent experience taking medication for my ADHD, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. So there's a few things that I do want to make clear before I get into this, a disclaimer that I have to make because I know there's going to be a need for it. Let me just consult my pink paper. So first thing is, I am not a doctor, not a medical professional, did not go to school for anything related to what I'm gonna talk to you about today. Yeah, I'm not here to sway you one way or another. I'm not here to tell you that you need to take the medication. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't take it. I'm simply giving my experience taking this medication for my ADHD and how it affects me. If you're going to try to ask me for advice in the comments, I would advise you right now to just go see a doctor, talk to somebody that you trust, and I hope it goes well for you. If you have any questions, I will definitely answer those for you, but I am not qualified and I don't feel confident telling you like, yes, you need to be medicated or not. I also don't advocate any sort of recreational use for Adderall. I know that some people might be trying to come here like seeing what it does to you when you take it recreationally. It's completely different. When you take Adderall and you have ADHD or you have some sort of attention hyperactivity disorder, it affects you completely different than it does when you're like normal. You don't have a dopamine deficiency, you don't have any issues. It's completely different. That's part of the reason why I'm making this video, is because growing up I would see people, like some of my friends would take Adderall. I think one of them actually snorted it, and I would see the way it affected them and the way they described things. It's like euphoria and stuff. I don't experience that. I've never experienced that, and the reason I'm making this video is because of that experience that I had watching people using it recreationally who didn't have ADHD and who didn't need it. It kind of like made me afraid to take it when I did get prescribed. So that's completely different. I'm only talking about if you suspect that you have ADHD, or maybe you have been diagnosed but you're not medicated yet. So yeah. Also, I'm only talking about my experience with the medication I've been given. I've only tried one medication. That's Adderall, or it's technically generic Adderall. It's amphetamine salts is what is written on my bottle. So I don't know anything about Vyvanse. I don't know anything about Adderall XR. I don't know anything about any other kind of medication that you could be prescribed for ADHD at all. Just Adderall. And if you're curious, my dosage is 20 milligrams in the morning, so that's what I'm going to be going off of as I explain this to you guys. And lastly, I should mention that I have ADHD Inattentive Type, like I think I mentioned earlier. So that's the type that seems to be most common in females. With males, you tend to get the hyperactivity and the restlessness and the moving around. I don't tend to experience that at all. For females, it really tends to be, or it is more common to see it, well actually to not see it. For a woman to have inattentive type, it's fairly invisible unless like you live close to them. Like if you live with them, maybe you'll experience like, oh, they're forgetting stuff a lot, or oh, they can't seem to concentrate on stuff. So that's what I'm talking about. If you're a guy with hyperactivity type, or you're a girl with hyperactive type and you have less of the inattentive type, which I'm not sure if that's possible, but if you do, I don't know anything about experiencing any of that because I don't have hyperactivity in my opinion. And now we can finally go into the bulk of this video. So I'm actually going to start with the cons first, and I wouldn't even really call them cons. They're just like side effects. Like I said, I'm not trying to be like biasly negative about it because I take the medication. I probably will never I'll probably never stop because it helps me so much. But first, I know that a lot of people probably came here just to see what the cons are, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with the cons, or the things that I have personally experienced that I am less happy about in comparison to what it actually helps me out with. The first thing is that you have to understand about Adderall if you haven't taken it is a stimulant. So I don't know if we have any coffee drinkers out in the audience today, but if you drink a ton of coffee, you know how it like makes you have to like poop really bad, or it kind of like makes you feel nervous or like excited. That's pretty much what Adderall does, like right after I take it, or when it starts to actually kick in, I guess. So I like to take it when I'm at home because when I get nervous, like let's say there's like a tornado or something and I just get really nervous, I tend to have to go number 2 pretty badly. So that's what happens to me almost every time I take it, unless I'm like out and about and I'm distracted and not thinking about what's going on with my body, then I usually won't experience it. It's really weird. If I'm busy, I don't really have to go, but if I'm not really busy and I'm just kind of like waiting for it to kick in, then yeah, I'll have to go to the bathroom, and it's not the best experience. Yeah, I'll just put that out there. Another thing that kind of goes hand in hand with this is sweating. So I know like some people at my work talk about how when they have a ton of coffee, they sweat. Same thing with me. That's why I'm wearing a tank top right now, because I took my pill like a couple hours ago, and it's like my right armpit tends to sweat more than my other one. I don't know why, but expect to sweat even when you're not hot. Your heart rate will go up, so there's sometimes when I will take it and it'll just, depending on what I eat, which I'll get into later, if I eat or not, sometimes you can feel your heart beat a little bit faster, and I just kind of like, I'm like, okay, it's fine, like I'm gonna stay calm, breathe normally. It's not like a panic attack or anything, but you can feel it beating just a little bit faster, and it kind of raises your heart rate. Ticks. So I didn't think I had a tick, but apparently I do. So this is something that I noticed, especially when I'm editing my videos and I have taken my pill, is that I do this thing where like, okay, I don't know if you can notice, but hold on, I'm about to do it. Watch my mouth. Like I just do that weird thing, like I don't suck on my lip, like on the inside of it. I don't know, I guess I do, it's weird, but I do that and I don't realize I'm doing it. I'm usually doing it like when I'm concentrating or when I'm driving, but usually only when I take my medication. So that's another thing. If you have a tic, maybe one that you used to have as a child, I read somewhere that it might come back when you take your medication, which is just really weird. I mean, I can not do it if I try hard enough, but if I'm not thinking about it, it'll usually come out, and I notice it a lot in some of my videos. So it's just kind of like a weird thing that I noticed. Sleeplessness. Now, if you take your medication correctly, then it shouldn't have too much of an impact on your sleep. Like if you don't take it right before bed or like a couple hours before bed. I take mine in the morning because I do things in the morning. So if you take it when you're supposed to and you're taking the correct amount of, the correct dosage, then I don't think you should have any problems with sleep. I personally don't, but if I do take it, like if I were to take it now, it's 12:30, then I might experience some sleeplessness. But then again, I don't have the XR, which is extended release, which is where it's like a capsule, like a plastic capsule that dissolves and it like releases throughout the day, I guess. I just have the instant release. So there is a con with that though, and I'll explain that here in a second, but let's get on to appetite. So appetite wise, I can be starving in the morning and then I take my pill and like 45 minutes later I'm not hungry. Oftentimes, especially at work, we have snacks everywhere at work, and they're all pretty healthy snacks too, like, you know, healthy, like they go to Costco, so it's like whole food chips and like fruit and granola bars, and I just like, I know I should eat something, but I keep putting it off, and then before I know it, it's dinner time, and I'm like, that's fine, I wasn't hungry anyway. But that is also a con, and I'll explain that also in a second. Things you have to watch out for. Weight loss is another thing. I weighed before I got diagnosed, back in April 2017, I weighed like 147, and then at the end of the month I weighed like 130 or something. So I lost a lot of weight. I don't think it was because I wasn't eating as much, because I usually don't eat that much, but yeah, I just like burned the weight. So I can't promise that that's gonna happen for you, and obviously you should not take Adderall if you're concerned about just losing weight, because like I said before, it's going to have completely different effects if you don't have ADHD. So don't be taking Adderall just because you want to lose weight, because that's abuse, obviously, of a controlled substance. And finally, the crash. So this is where I'm gonna bring back the whole like making sure you're eating food thing, and the whole like appetite loss thing. If you don't eat enough food and you're not, because okay, when you lose your appetite, you don't feel hungry, so you're not like, oh, I should go eat something, and then thus you're not thinking about what you should be eating. If you don't eat food and you wait until like the end of the day when your hunger comes back, chances are you're gonna crash. And I actually do this. So if I'm at work and I don't eat lunch, because like this is usually how my day goes, okay? Wake up in the morning, take my pill, go to the gym, work out, go to work. I don't usually have lunch because I'm not hungry because I took my medication. Then by the time it's time to go home, around 4:30, sometimes 4, depending on traffic, and then sometimes 5 or later, I am just in a really bad mood. I'm super irritable. It doesn't matter how good of a day I had, and usually I have great days. I'd never really have a bad day at work. I get super irritable, so I come home and it's just like any little thing will just tick me off. And me and my boyfriend have a hard time figuring out what we're gonna eat for dinner. So the fact that I'm like in my car driving home and I'm already irritable, and I get home and it's just like, I just get so irritated and I just want to eat something. And then usually after I eat, I'm fine because my medication is worn off and I've had food. I'm not hangry anymore. But you really have to make sure you're getting the right nutrients, because if you're not eating, first of all, you have to eat anyway, and you have to eat the right stuff. But with Adderall, a stimulant stacked on top of that, it just makes it like a bunch worse. And I actually experimented with this. I drank a ton of water. I forced myself to actually eat food at work, and then by the time I got home, I was fine and I didn't experience a crash. If you are thinking about getting medication, maybe it's gonna be Adderall, maybe it'll be something else, you should always just make sure you're eating food, especially if you're on a medication that suppresses your appetite like Adderall does. And it does make you thirsty. Like you get kind of dry mouth sometimes, but since I don't have an appetite, I don't want to drink water, so I actually have flavored water that I drink to force myself to drink water. And I'm usually up to an average of just 2 bottles of water a day, which is not that much, especially when you're on a stimulant and you're active like I am. So I'm really trying to work on making sure I'm drinking enough water so that at the end of the day I don't crash, and so that I am healthy. By the way, I forgot to mention that my weight loss subsided, and now it's evened out at around like 130 or so. Fluctuates from like 130 to 135. So it's not like if you keep taking Adderall, you're just gonna keep losing weight. It's not like that. So another thing you have to watch out for, and this kind of goes back to like the heart rate thing. There was something else that I was gonna say, but I can't remember what it was. Is if you are somebody who goes to the gym and you use pre-workout, you can't use pre-workout anymore, especially if you take your pill before you go to the gym. I take my pill in the morning, and before I was like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, I was taking pre-workout as well, and that has usually a ton of caffeine in it. It's also a stimulant. Like, it can just be really bad because your heart rate is already high enough as it is, so you don't want to raise your heart rate even more by taking a pre-workout or by drinking coffee and stuff. I'm not addicted to coffee anyway. I have never been a coffee drinker. Sometimes I'll get like a frappe or something just because I like ice cream, but I don't want to drink ice cream. And just don't take pre-workout, don't take any more stimulants. If you're on Adderall, just don't do it. Another thing that I have experienced, and that I probably should have known anyway, but I didn't, and that's why I'm telling you, because you might not know either. If you are prescribed Adderall and you're taking it regularly, you cannot be a chronic marijuana smoker as well. Like, you can't come home and just be like hitting the joint all the time. If you're taking medication consistently, it's just gonna mess everything up, okay? Your brain's just gonna get confused. The dopamine is just, it's just not good, okay? You can look it up. I looked it up one night, and there was like this article, this like medical journal article, so it was all in like medical garb, and I literally sat there for like 3 hours and just deciphered each line by line, trying to figure out like, okay, this is what dopamine receptor blah 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 is, and this, like, I was just like working it all out. And then I was like, whoa, like, it's not good to chronically smoke marijuana and also be taking regularly Adderall at the same time. It just confuses your brain, and it can actually make your ADHD Inattentive Type even worse. And it really was for me. Like, I was like, why am I taking my medication and it's not helping me? I thought it was gonna be okay since I was like smoking after my medication wore off, but it's not. So I don't smoke anymore. I don't need to, but I do need to take my medication because it really does help me out a lot. So now I'll go into the ways that Adderall really helps me. I am a lot more outgoing when I'm taking my Adderall. I am able to put my thoughts into words a little bit easier when I'm on Adderall. It doesn't focus for me, so I still have to focus, and I still have to, like, be disciplined to do things. It's not like a cure-all, but it does help significantly, and it's hard to kind of get past that first like initial thought, like, oh, maybe like this isn't really who I am. Maybe I'm really just like whoever I am when I'm just like have my ADHD symptoms and I can't think. But then it's like, no, that's not who I am. And there's like, you don't always want to rely on a medication to feel normal. And yeah, it sucks. And some people think that it doesn't even exist and it's not real and we're just lazy and we just want to take drugs. It's like, I would rather not pay $40 a month to take a drug, honestly. If any of you, I got this comment on my last video that I made about ADD on my other channel. Somebody asked if I ever feel addicted to it. No, I take breaks frequently, actually. Like my last break was taken during Christmas because I didn't really need to focus hard on anything. If we were doing like a chore day or something, yeah, but I mean most of it was relaxing, so I was like, I'm relaxing this week, I don't need to take my meds. Yeah, I don't feel withdrawals. The only thing that I feel as a result of taking my medication is some of the side effects that I told you guys about, which really happen if you don't take care of yourself like you're supposed to. Like if you're eating the right foods, drinking enough water, keeping your body nourished, then you're probably gonna experience more minimal side effects than if you're like me and you don't hardly eat and you drink really bad amounts of water. That's about it. That is how I personally experience my days on Adderall. I don't think I missed anything, but if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to ask them down below. And if you want to, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe because I'll probably make some more videos similar to this one in the future. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.